Welcome back to Infinite Abundance. Have you ever felt an emptiness inside, as if you were working incredibly hard but on the wrong path? Today we reach chapter 9 of the game of life and how to play it. Perfect self-expression or divine design. Florence Scovel Shinn reveals a liberating secret. You don't have to strive for someone else's success. You have a unique purpose, a talent the world needs, and you will be abundantly rewarded for it. True wealth and absolute happiness only come when we discover that natural talent and express it to the world. When you are in your rightful place, money flows effortlessly. Get ready to discover how to activate the career or path that is rightfully yours. Get comfortable, open your mind, and let's begin.
No wind can drive my ship astray, nor change the tide of destiny. There is for each person a perfect self-expression. There is a place which you are destined to fill and no one else can fill. Something which you are meant to do, which no one else can do. It is your destiny. This achievement is already held as a perfect idea in the divine mind, awaiting your recognition. As the imagination is our creative faculty, it is necessary for us to see the idea before it can manifest in reality. Therefore, our highest request is to align with the divine design of our life. You may not have the slightest idea of what it is right now, for there is, quite possibly, some marvelous talent hidden deep within you. Your daily affirmation should be, Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life to manifest. Let the genius within me now be released. Let me see the perfect plan clearly. The perfect plan includes health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This is the square of life which brings true happiness. When you make this alignment, you may find great changes taking place, for nearly everyone has wandered far from their divine design. I know of one woman's case where it felt as though a cyclone had struck her affairs. Yet, readjustments came quickly, and new, wonderful conditions beautifully replaced the old ones. Perfect self-expression will never feel like hard labor. Instead, it will hold such absorbing interest that it will feel almost like play. The student of truth also knows that since we come into this world abundantly supported by the universe, the supply needed for a perfect self-expression will always be at hand. Many a genius has struggled for years with the problem of financial lack, when their own spoken word and faith would have quickly released the necessary funds. For example, one day after class, a man came to me and handed me a penny. He said, I have just 7 cents left in the world, and I'm going to give you one, for I have faith in the power of your spoken word. I want you to speak the word for my perfect self-expression and prosperity. I spoke the word and did not see him again until a year later. He walked in one day, successful and happy, with a substantial roll of cash in his pocket. He said, Immediately after you spoke the word, I was offered a position in a distant city, and I am now experiencing health, happiness, and abundance. A woman's perfect self-expression may be in becoming a wonderful wife, a loving mother, and a brilliant homemaker, and not necessarily in having a public career. Ask for definite guidance, and your path will become easy and successful. One should never force a mental picture or try to stressfully visualize. When you request the divine design to enter your conscious mind, you will receive flashes of inspiration and begin to see yourself achieving great things. This is the vision, the idea that you must hold without wavering. The thing you seek is already seeking you. The telephone was seeking Alexander Graham Bell. Parents should never force specific careers and professions upon their children. With a knowledge of spiritual truth, the divine plan can be spoken over them early in childhood or even before birth. A prenatal blessing should be, let the divine presence in this child have perfect expression. Let the divine design of their mind, body, and affairs be made manifest throughout their life, throughout eternity. God's will be done, not the human egos. The divine pattern, not our limited human pattern, is the command we find running through all the scriptures. The Bible is a book dealing with the science of the mind. It is a text telling us how to release our soul, our subconscious mind, from its own self-imposed chains. The battles described are metaphors for us waging war against limiting beliefs. A person's foes shall be those of their own household. Every one of us is Jehoshaphat, and every one of us is David, slaying Goliath, our negative thinking, with the little white stone of faith. So, we must be careful not to be the wicked and lazy servant who buried their talent. There is a heavy price to pay for neglecting our true abilities. Often, fear stands between us and our perfect self-expression. Stage fright has hampered many a genius. This can be easily overcome by the power of the spoken word and mindset alignment. The individual then loses all self-consciousness and feels simply like a pure channel for infinite intelligence to express itself through. They operate under direct inspiration, fearless and confident, knowing that it is the divine presence within doing the work. A young boy often came to my class with his mother. He asked me to speak the word for his upcoming school examinations. I told him to make this statement: I am one with infinite intelligence. I know everything I need to know on this subject. He had an excellent knowledge of history, but was not sure of his math. I saw him afterward and he said, I spoke the word for my math and passed with the highest honors, but I thought I could depend entirely on my human self for history and got a very poor grade. We often receive a setback when we become too sure of ourselves from an ego level, which means we are trusting our human personality instead of the grace within. Another one of my students gave me a perfect example of this. She took an extended trip abroad one summer, visiting many countries where she did not know the languages. She leaned on divine guidance and protection every single minute, and her affairs went smoothly and miraculously. Her luggage was never delayed or lost. Accommodations were always ready for her at the best hotels, and she received perfect service wherever she went. Then she returned to New York. Knowing the language and the city, she felt that relying on a higher power was no longer necessary. So she looked after her affairs in an ordinary, purely human manner. Suddenly, everything went wrong. Her luggage was delayed amidst tension and confusion. As students of truth, we must form the habit of practicing the presence every single moment. In all your ways, acknowledge the divine. Nothing is too small or too great to be guided. Sometimes, a seemingly insignificant incident can be the turning point in a person's life. Robert Fulton, simply watching boiling water simmering in a teacup, envisioned the steamboat. I have often seen students hold back their own manifestations through inner resistance or by trying to dictate the path. They pin their faith to only one channel, demanding exactly how they want the manifestation to come, which brings things to a complete standstill. My way, not your way, is the command of infinite intelligence. Like all universal forces, whether steam or electricity, it must have a non-resistant engine or instrument to work through, and you are that instrument. Over and over again, we are told to stand still. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for the universe is with you. You will not need to fight this battle. Take your positions, stand still, and see the salvation of the divine with you. We see this clearly in the stories mentioned earlier. The $2,000 coming to the woman through her landlord the moment she became non-resistant and undisturbed, and the woman who won her partner's love after all suffering had ceased. The ultimate goal for any student is poise. Poise is power because it gives divine power the chance to rush through you to align with your highest good and purpose. When you are poised, you think clearly and make right decisions quickly. You stay completely open to every opportunity. Anger, on the other hand, blurs your vision, disrupts your well being, lies at the root of many diseases, and leads to wrong decisions that cause failure. It has been called one of the greatest obstacles because its reaction is so harmful to our lives. In metaphysics, we learn that a mistake or a block has a much broader meaning than in traditional teachings. Whatever does not come from faith limits us. We soon discover that fear and worry are the most destructive blocks. They are simply faith inverted. Through distorted mental pictures, they bring to pass the very thing we fear. Our only work is to drive these enemies out of the subconscious mind. As Maeterlinck beautifully wrote, when a person is fearless, their work is finished. He also noted that a fearful person is like a god afraid of their own power. Therefore, as we read in the previous chapters, we can only conquer fear by walking right up to the thing we are afraid of. When King Jehoshaphat and his army prepared to meet the enemy, singing, "Praise the divine, for its mercy endures forever," they arrived only to find that their opponents had destroyed each other, leaving nothing left to fight. For example, a woman asked a friend to deliver a message to another friend. This woman was terrified to pass it along, as her logical mind argued, "Don't get mixed up in this affair. Don't deliver that message." She was deeply troubled in spirit because she had given her promise. At last, she determined to walk up to the lion and claim the law of divine protection. When she finally met the friend to whom she was supposed to deliver the message, she opened her mouth to speak. Before she could say a word, her friend said, "By the way, so-and-so has left town." This completely erased the need to deliver the message, as the whole situation depended on that person being in the city. Because she was willing to face it, she was not forced to do it. Since she did not fear, the stressful situation simply vanished.
Let's pause for a moment of wisdom. From a quantum and neuroscientific perspective, what Florence calls divine design is what we now know as the flow state. When you force yourself into a job or business simply out of fear of financial hardship, your brain generates resistance and blocks your creativity. But when you demand to know your true purpose and begin to operate from your natural talents, your vibration shifts completely. The universe is efficient. When you occupy the exact place you were created for, resources, connections, and money magically align to support you. Let's continue reading.
Students often delay their manifestations through a belief in incompletion. Instead, you should declare this statement: "In the divine mind, there is only completion. Therefore, my manifestation is already complete. My perfect work, my perfect home, my perfect health." Whatever you ask for is already a perfect idea registered in the divine mind, and it must manifest beautifully and in perfect alignment. Give thanks that you have already received it on the invisible plane, and begin active preparations for receiving it on the visible plane. Another one of my students was in need of a financial breakthrough. She came to me and asked why it had not yet manifested. I replied, "Perhaps you are in the habit of leaving things unfinished, and your subconscious mind has developed a habit of not completing your cycles. Remember, as within, so without." She said, "You are entirely right. I often begin projects and never finish them. I will go home right now and finish something I started weeks ago. I know it will be a symbolic breakthrough for my finances." So, she sat down and worked diligently, and the item was soon completed. Shortly after, money arrived in the most unexpected manner. Her husband was accidentally paid his salary twice that month. When he notified the company of their mistake, they sent back a message telling him to keep it. When you ask with absolute belief, you must receive, for the universe creates its own perfect channels. So she worked on it diligently, and the project was soon completed. Shortly after, the money arrived in the most unexpected manner. Her husband was accidentally paid his salary twice that month. When he notified the company of their mistake, they sent back a message telling him to keep it. When you ask with absolute belief, you must receive, for the universe creates its own perfect channels. I have sometimes been asked, suppose someone has several talents, how are they to know which one to choose? Ask to be shown definitely. Say, Infinite Spirit, give me a clear lead. Reveal to me my perfect self-expression and show me which talent I am to make use of right now. I have known people to suddenly enter a completely new line of work and find themselves fully equipped with little or no prior training. So make this statement: I am fully equipped for the divine plan of my life, and be fearless in grasping new opportunities. Some people are cheerful givers, but very poor receivers. They refuse gifts out of pride or some other negative reasoning, thereby blocking their own channels. Invariably, they eventually find themselves with little or nothing. For example, a woman who had given away a great deal of money was offered a gift of several $1,000s. She refused to take it, saying she didn't need it. Shortly after that, her finances became completely frozen and she found herself in debt for that exact amount. We should receive gracefully the bread returning to us upon the water. Freely you have given, freely you shall receive. There is always a perfect balance of giving and receiving. Although you should give without any thought of returns, you violate universal law if you do not accept the abundance that flows back to you. All gifts come from the divine. We are merely the channels. Furthermore, a thought of lack should never be projected over the giver. For instance, when that man gave me his last penny, I did not think, poor man, he cannot afford to give me that. Instead, I saw him as rich and prosperous, with his supply pouring in. It was this exact vision that brought his success. If you have been a poor receiver, you must practice becoming a good one. Accept even a postage stamp if it is offered to you, and open up your channels for receiving. The universe loves a cheerful receiver just as much as a cheerful giver. I have often been asked why one person is born rich and healthy, while another is born poor and sick. Wherever there is an effect, there is always a cause. There is no such thing as chance. This question is answered through the law of the soul's journey. We experience many phases of growth and expression until we realize the truth that sets us free. An individual is drawn back to the physical plane by unfulfilled desires, to balance past karmic patterns, or to fulfill their ultimate destiny. A person born rich and healthy has held pictures of health and riches in their subconscious mind in a past expression, while a person born poor and sick has held ideas of disease and poverty. We manifest on any plane the sum total of our subconscious beliefs. However, limitation and mortality are human-made laws, for the mindset of separation leads to lack. The real you, the spiritual self, is birthless and deathless. It never had a beginning and will never have an end. As it was in the beginning, it is now, and ever shall be. So, through this truth, you are set free from the laws of karma, negativity, and limitation, and you manifest the true self made in the divine image and likeness. Your freedom comes through fulfilling your destiny, bringing into manifestation the divine design of your life. Your inner wisdom will say to you, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things, even over limitation itself. Enter now into the joy of your true, eternal life."
What a powerful message. You have a place to feel that no one else can, and something to do that no one else can do. Stop comparing yourself and start shining on your own stage. If you're ready to claim your true path, write today's decree in the comments. I demand my divine design. By writing it, you command your subconscious to reveal your purpose. Support this message by liking the video, subscribing to Infinite Abundance, and turning on notifications. The grand finale chapter 10 awaits you on the end screen, where we'll reveal the exact formula, the definitive summary for winning the game of life. Click and join me as we conclude this masterpiece.